It's the second annual BYU Basketball Media Day, and it's on BYUtvsports.com. My name is Jarom Jordan. If you have questions for Craig Cusick, tweet them using hashtag BYUtvsports. Post them on Facebook.com/BYUtvsports, or put them in the chat window on BYUtvsports.com. Craig Cusick, how you doing?
Doing really good. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. You're the 14th of 15 web chats we've been going throughout the day, and we're still excited. Our crew's still, I think, mostly awake, right? We got one camera guy asleep, but yeah, we're good. So last year at this time we're talking. You're one of the walk-ons. We don't really know what's going to happen. You end up playing quite a bit, having a really successful season. You have 8 assists in the Iona game. You're super influential in that. How satisfying was it to play a lot and have a really good year?
No, of course, like you said, last year at this time I was just asked by Coach Rose to come back and see if I could make any type of difference on the team. So it was obviously the way that the year ended, and I just felt really fortunate to be able to get any playing time, at the beginning of the season, and then as the season progressed, it continued to grow, and so being able to finish with those last 2 games in the NCAA tournament and having that experience is very valuable, and just it's been a dream come true for sure.
Okay, let's start with this. What's your full name, and why were you named that?
My full name is Craig Willard Cusick, and I was named that obviously first and last name. My middle name Willard is after my grandpa, so his name was Willard Nelson. So that's where I get that name. So I'm very proud to carry on his name.
And number 2, why that number?
I'm not sure. There's no super significance behind it, but I was number 5 in high school. Number 5 was taken by Chris Collinsworth when I first came here, and so I was number 2 in some AAU ball growing up, so carried on that number.
You're the all-time leading scorer at Orem High School, just up the road. We talked with Ian Harward earlier today about it, but state champs this year, first time. Orem is an old school, and it's taken a while, but they got it.
They finally got it. Like you said, it's we had a few chances. 3 out of the 4 years there, I lost in the semifinals in the state tournament twice on a last-second shot. So I never quite made the state championship game, but I'm glad and I'm happy that Orem finally got one, because it has been a long time. Old school, and it's nice to have one of those banners hanging up now in the gym.
Kevin Nixon, former BYU player on the staff,
yeah, of course,
helped with that as well. Your road to BYU, we chronicled it a bit last year, but for those that don't know you as well, you end up going to Utah first, then Mission, Redshirts. Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so out of high school, I actually went to the U of U for a year, and I redshirted my first year at the U, and I went on a mission. Came back off my mission, and it just wasn't a good fit for me back to go to the U, and so I went to Salt Lake Community College for 1 year. Played there, and I actually got injured, broke my ankle that year playing at Salt Lake Community College, so kind of slowed everything down. It was a pretty bad break, so I didn't know if I was going to play again, so that's why I ended up just coming down here once my ankle healed, and I wanted to come here for school anyways, and talked to the coaches and walked on, and I've been fortunate since then.
And you end up being a practice player for a year, I believe, right? Before last year's opportunity.
Yep. No, I was a practice. So Jimmer and Jackson and Logan, their senior year was I was a practice squad player.
You and Kyle Rose Kyle was the junior. I think,
yeah.
Yeah. So you helped Jimmer as junior do all that.
No, I was Jimmer's senior.
Oh, senior.
Year.
Sorry,
yeah.
Senior. So
yeah. So
Kyle, you took the banner from Kyle and continued.
Kyle was before me. Yeah.
So who's that practice squad guy now that we're gonna talk? Is it who's that defensive point guard that's
who's
gonna
the
be
guy
that guy?
that's going to be that guy? I don't know. I mean, we have a couple walk-ons this year that are really good. Kyle Rose is back on the team. Same with Cooper Range, and we have lots. They obviously have lots of potential. They're both really great players. So.
And you learned last year the value of that spot. You kind of transitioned out of that, but that's an important role that whoever that guy is, you need that guy.
Yeah. No, you really do. Playing against the practice squad and the practice team, whoever's on that third team, they always give a good effort. And I think it makes a big difference on how successful we are in the season, depending on how good those guys are. And I know that those guys will give us a good run this year, for sure.
We're seeing some of your highlights from last year. 3 points, 2 assists per game. It was an eventual thing where you kind of emerged more as the ball handler, and if there's a time where we need to slow it down a little bit, make sure that we control the ball, it's going to be in your hands. You had 5 games of at least 5 assists, and then like I mentioned, the 8 versus Iona. How satisfied with your ball handling were you from last year?
I was satisfied, you know, and I think all of us have things to work on. I definitely have things to work on, and at times I need to be more aggressive. But for coming in, like you said, we all have different roles on the team, and one of the things last year for last year's team was to take care of the ball when I came in, and you know, as a point guard, and so that's what I tried to do, and I was fortunate to have a good game against Iona, and you know, but along with a lot of other players who came together to win. So
you're in the accounting program. You're graduating in April.
In April,
right? So you've chosen the hard path with accounting. How do you manage not only being a walk-on? You know, you've got to pay for your stuff and be a part of it. Yet do accounting.
Yeah, you know, it's just something I've always dreamed about. So I think there's always when you're committed to something, I think there's always a way to do it. And so you know, with the help of my family and my wife. She's been so supportive, and we've been able to work out. School last year was really hard, you know, and doing work on the road trips was really hard, but you just find a way to get through it. And so I just feel fortunate to be in the place I'm at.
How will your role on the team change now that there's an expectation for you to be a significant contributor?
Sure. You know, I think it naturally just progresses, and I think for everybody that played last year, we had lots of freshmen last year that got significant minutes last year, and so I think for all of us, the natural change will just be for us to, you know, maybe be a bigger part of the team this year, where we just flow together. We know how to play together, so I think we all know our roles more defined now, but that can always change year to year, and so I think it's for all of us. That's one of the challenges, is to bring us all together and make sure that we all achieve those goals.
Last year, we learned a lot about, you know, post-Jimmer. What's this team going to be like? What's the West Coast Conference going to be like? What are some of the things that you learned about that team and about the West Coast Conference? Yeah,
you know, last year was, like you said, it was a really new year in a lot of ways. Joining the West Coast Conference, lots of people said, you know, these schools are smaller. They don't have the size of enrollment that BYU has, but definitely, you know, every single one of these teams in this conference, it's just as tough as the Mountain West Conference. It's a very, very talented and skilled league. So you can't take any night off, and I think that's one of the things that we've definitely learned from last year, is that we got to bring it every single night, because any given team in this league can win the league, because there's talent spread throughout, and so we look to every single school as a big opportunity and as a big team.
Chatting with Craig Cusick of the BYU men's basketball team, senior guard. If you have a question for him, post it on Twitter, #BYUtv Sports. You on Twitter?
I am on Twitter.
What's your handle?
I don't even know. I think it's Craig Cusick 2.
Craig Cusick 2.
Absolutely. I'm not on all the time, but I'm there.
You're not on as much as Matt Carlino and Anson
No,
Wonder.
not all day.
All day? You can post questions on Facebook as well, facebook.com/BYUtv Sports. Craig _Cusick? I'm being told, is that right?
Or I think just Craig Cusick 2.
Is there a fake Craig Cusick account?
I could be wrong. It could be Craig _Cusick. I could be wrong.
Craig's on Twitter. We don't know what it is.
Basically,
is what I'm saying. So if you've got questions for him, go ahead and send those in. Zane Wright says, Craig, do you feel your role on the team will change, or will it be the same? We addressed it a little bit, but
sure. No, that's a good question. I think, like you said, every year comes different opportunities. There's different players on this year's team, and I think my role will be somewhat the same, but also to be more aggressive. Like you said, I mean, naturally I grew up as a scorer. I don't see myself as maybe the main scorer, but I think I do need to be more aggressive with my shot and opportunities to score, but also at the same time making sure that I keep everything going that I did last year.
What did you specifically work on over the summer that's going to make you a better player this year?
Yeah, one of the main things that I think I worked on is ball handling, but also quickness and defense. Like you said, this league has some really good point guards, and obviously it's really important to make sure we're good on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end. So with all of the assistant coaches and Coach Rose, we've put a lot of effort on, all of us have, on our personal development on our defensive game and our offensive game. So,
give us a feel for some of these new guys, and we'll chat with Corey Calvert in a few moments, get to know him, but particularly these two junior college transfers. Both seem like really interesting guys that we're excited to see what they can do on the court.
Yeah.
With Raul, a great shooter, sounds like a great defender, and Augustine Ambrosino, a guy that can step out and shoot it.
Yeah. I think both of them are going to be really good additions to our team. They're both great guys. Raul is a very skilled wing player. He's very athletic. He can jump high. A good defender. And then you have Augie, who's about 6'8", who can run the floor really well. He's strong. He can step out and shoot the three. Maybe a little bit similar to Noah's game, as Noah was able to last year, able to step back and shoot threes. I think Augie will once again carry that. They're great to have here, and I think they're going to be really good for us.
How many times have you watched the Iona game?
You know what? To be honest, only a few times. But the most recent time was just a couple days ago. I watched it again, and that and the Marquette game, but especially the Iona game, as special as that was. But I can definitely tell you, I think about it nearly every day about that experience. So
that seemed to personify that team, which was, we're not last year's team. We're our own team. We're post-driven, but we never give up. And
Yep.
You're down 25. You set this record. You'll live on forever in Cougar lore through that. I guess. What feelings come up when you start to think about what happened in that game, and take us inside your head during the game of kind of how that transpired?
No, I kind of get the shivers even thinking about it, because honestly, that's how it was. I remember at the end of that game, looking up in the BYU crowd and looking at my wife and some of the other people that were there, BYU fans, and I saw lots of tears in their eyes. And that's how special it was that we got creamed in the first half, and Iona came out and did so well, but it's hard to express the feelings that we had in the second half, because once we knew we could make a run, as both of us, Iona and us, were very up and down, very quick, up tempo. So the game can change really quick. So I think all of us still had a belief in our heart the whole game that we could really come back and win this, and for that to actually happen with that big of deficit was just incredible. It's something you can't really explain. Just one of the most special times of my life.
I mentioned it earlier, but you'll see the press conference, Studio C. There's a 27-foot screen that we pulled down to watch the game with BYU broadcast employees. It's quite the experience for us as we turn into fans.
Yeah.
In that moment. So it was fun. This year's team, it's every year changes a little bit. You graduate Noah and Charles, two of the winningest players in program history, tons of experience. You cannot simulate that, and you can't replace them. How does this team expect to do this year, given we expect 25 to 30 wins and to go to the tournament and win? That's the expectation now.
Well, no, that is the expectation. Like you said, the program has developed here, and that's the expectation now. And so anything less of that would we'd be short of that. And like you said, you can't replace Noah and Charles, but the guys that we have, we are a different team. We do have we lost our experience, but I think overall we have a lot more experience on this team. Whereas we had freshmen last year, lots of freshmen who were able to play in the NCAA tournament. That was my first time playing the NCAA tournament. So I think there's lots of guys who are now in their second year of experience that could really help us, as well as, like you said, the junior college transfers who've obviously played at a college level and had that type of experience, which will also help us. So like you said, we have really high expectations for this year to go far and beyond and reach every single one of our goals.
Okay. Well, we expect greatness this year, and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Craig. And we'll watch the Iona game again on BYUtv sports.com to get ready for that. Well, coming up, he's the 5A MVP from Colorado. He's Corey Calvert. They won the state title on a buzzer beater. We'll tell you about it in a few moments. Tweet questions for Corey Calvert using the hashtag BYUtv sports, facebook.com/BYUtv sports, and put it in the chat window on BYUtv sports.com. Last but not least, the 15th and final interview. Corey Calvert coming up next, followed by the Dave Rose press conference at 1:35 Mountain, 3:35 Eastern, here on BYUtv sports.com.